is Erik Caron. I'm a Seattle University nursing student, and I graduate in 7 days. I want to start today out by talking a little bit about this photo. This photo was taken in the Grand Teton Range in Wyoming, and it's one of my favorite moments that I've ever been able to witness in life. And what you see is very different than what had happened the minute before. Very, very stormy. We were running away from this big, thunderous and lightning storm. When we finally got to our camp spot, which is where this photo was taken, all of a sudden this really beautiful light shone through and gave us this really spectacular view. And I think it's a really good metaphor for what nursing school has been like. You weather a bit of a storm, but at the end, you end up this whole new, beautiful person with this whole new outlook on life. And a lot of that I attribute to how the Seattle University mission applies to our nursing education. You know, we try to create leaders for a just and humane world, and really that's what nursing is already. So the education experience that Seattle University supplies is really, in my mind, an exponential extension of their mission statement and what nursing already is. One of the things they really focus on is educating the whole person. And what does that mean? I think the best way to describe it is how I've experienced life as a bartender and now having experience working in the emergency department. People come at you at a very interesting and unique time in their lives, and that's not just because of their pathophysiology and their injury. They might be a different person entirely than they were the day before, but more importantly, they're someone that has a different culture, a different ethnic background, a different life story. And to care for that whole person means you're taking every single piece of them, not just one little part. You're not just treating their ailment, you're treating them as a person. Physical, mental, the entire photo, the entire captured moment of their well-being. And I think one of the best things that has happened to me during my Seattle U education was some of our U-Core classes, particularly Jesus and Liberation. I'm not a religious person at all. And I said that on the first day, but the professor, to their credit, said, you know what, that's fine, that's great actually. You know, see where that takes you, just reflect on it throughout. And we explored what the Bible meant, and what I found out, it's just a really kind of great guideline on how not to be a jerk to the fellow person. And I get down with that. I think the other thing it really taught me was when we look at our houseless population, especially in Seattle, you know, it's easy to take a lot of self-thought and judgment and say, look at this situation through this one lens. But what it really taught me instead was that no matter what, a person is a person, and if you don't have $1 to give them, you do have time. You do have some humanship, if you will, to give them, and even if it's just a wave, to acknowledge them is very, very important. And I think that really applies to nursing as a whole. One of the unique things about being a nurse, and one of the unique things we get taught, is all about leadership. As the mission states, they're everywhere. Not only do we delegate tasks to people that are on our team, and may not be able to practice at the same scope that we do, there's that type of leadership, but really leadership is everywhere in nursing. It's with our patients, it's with doctors, it's with advocacy, it's with colleagues. And for me, I think it all comes down to my preceptors. In a world where COVID has really taken a lot of our education away, I'm curious to see how other people feel or respond to this video after COVID's hopefully gone. Our preceptors have been so patient and so kind, and it's something I really look forward to giving back, because they know that we're just little baby duckling nurses that haven't had the opportunity, the same hands-on opportunity. And I'll tell you what, I'm a kinesthetic learner. Part of why I chose Seattle U was for my kinesthetic learning capabilities. That person agrees. And that got taken away, but you know what, that's okay, because we have an opportunity as leaders to help each other out through what has happened with our education. I think some of the two most influential leadership styles, and one that I particularly prefer to take on, is servant leadership. There's no task that I wouldn't ask someone to do that I wouldn't do myself, and I'm never going to be too proud to sweep. And that should absolutely apply to the healthcare team. Because if we don't act as a team, our patient is who suffers. I think transitional or transformational leadership is the other big leadership style, and it's great to inspire others for whatever the unit may need, but if we can let people be their best selves within the nursing practice, everyone starts to flourish just a little bit more. And I think that really ties into how I want to show up as a nurse and what are the things that I need to do as a nurse as I start this profession out. Right now I'm clunky. My hands-on skills, maybe sometimes due to COVID, are a little bit lackluster, and that's okay. I'm going to work on that. My diction with some patients sometimes is a little clunky because I still am learning things, and I'm still learning what works and what doesn't work when I speak with patients or other people. I think the most important thing, however, which also really helps mitigate burnout, is just being kind. I need to learn to be a little bit kinder to myself. I want to do the best I can be in 5 minutes, but that's not how nursing works. People finally reach that maybe after 30 years is the consensus I've gathered. And so being kind to myself and being true to myself, I think, are what's really, really going to propel me forward and keep my happiness sustained in this really difficult profession. And I think it's all about knowing yourself, knowing the triggers and the warning signs of when you're feeling burnt out, and being able to act on that and put up healthy, communicative boundaries around that. Which is also some of the advice I'd give to someone starting out. I think we've had a really great mentor-mentee program, and I've been able to walk my mentee through some of that. And, the bottom line is, you're going to freak out, but don't freak out. You'll be okay. I think the only other thing I really, really want to bring to my nursing practice is the aspect of health equity, and currently our evidence-based research project is about creating a better educational system for assessment skills that are rather lackluster at the moment when it comes to patients with darker skin tones. We only really get a lot of examples of what this disease looks like in someone with more fair skin, and we need to, as a whole community, get a little bit better about recognizing certain things within darker skinned patients that could hopefully help save their lives. I think we saw this great social unrest, and it's helped all of us propel, hopefully, ourselves forward in creating a more just and humane world for each other and for our patients. One of my most memorable moments of the Black Lives Matter movement that I always think about is when I was at the healthcare protest. The sign read, "For my future black patients." It's always been a constant reminder for me to step out of my own self and remember that I'm here for everybody as a nurse, not just for myself. Obviously, COVID has impacted everybody. And I think, as I mentioned prior, it became a very difficult process for learning. But in another sense, it helped call me to arms to be the best nurse I can be, to help out with the public health crisis aspect. The spread of misinformation, all of those things are things that we can tackle even as nursing students, and especially as nurses. And it's something that, while it shaped us greatly, I look forward to shaping it equally back. And so, to tie it all in, when I think back to this day that I took this photo, I was dirty, I was sweaty, I was tired, but it was one of the most beautiful days I've ever had. And I think if I can remind myself in a year from now to be so grateful for this experience, this privilege that I now have to be a nurse, I think I'll be in the right spot. I had the opportunity to talk with one of my friends, Joe Weber. He's a PT, and we explored these ideas in a lot greater depth, and I would really invite you to check out this video of the two of us having a really nice conversation about all these ideas. It's going to be available where this video is as well. Thank you.